The last request for this month comes from the movie critic dude, and he's asked me to check out a good movie this time. We're going to be talking about The Secret of Kells, whatever that secret is. Ever hear of Cartoon Saloon? It's an Irish animation studio that's quite good with both TV series and animated movies. The only problem is that they're not making back their money a lot of the time. The lucky ones can expect to make back half their budget, but most others can't even do that, which is a shame because their works could use some serious love. Anyway, this movie was directed by studio regulars Tom Moore and Nora Toomey. While Moore wrote the story, Fabrice Zielkowski wrote the screenplay. Bruno Calais is the main person behind the music, and the Irish band Kille also made tracks for the film. Now, I've known about this movie thanks to friends who are big fans of Cartoon Saloon, and hopefully after this, I can understand where they're coming from. So, let us uncover The Secret of Kells. Hello, poster child! What exactly have you seen? Well, through some very fine and stylish animation, she's seen the Northmen plundering and looting for gold. They drove out an old man and his cat, which led him to flee and keep a record of what happened. But even then, the child finds beauty in places. And I have seen the book. The book that turned darkness into light. So, given the title and all, this movie is about how the Book of Kells came to be. For those who don't know what that is, it's a book containing 4 Gospels from the New Testament, and a lot of extravagant and complex illustrations. Either way, this is a fantastical interpretation of the book's creation during the 9th century Viking raids. Now let's meet our main character of the movie, Brendan, voiced by Evan McGuire. He's quite a rambunctious ball of energy, but he's also training to be a monk, so he has a lot of other trainees who try to stop him from doing anything reckless.
Brendan, that scaffolding is not steady!
Don't worry, Brother Sua. I'll be careful.
He happens upon an opening inside this massive wall. The wall is meant to protect people from the Vikings, but maybe it can show something out in the woods beyond. He and the other monks get back to their literal wild goose chase, and then they catch it for its rear feathers.
Your feathers will become the tools from which we create immortal pages of sacred texts.
Here I thought you were gonna kill it for food. Still, it'll have its revenge. Naturally, they follow the leadership of Abbot Kille, voiced by Knuckles himself, Brendan Gleeson. He's Brendan's uncle and doesn't want him to go outside, which, fair enough, Vikings and all, but even the other monks aren't as strict. Their job as illuminators is to write books that can be a source of hope to people. There are even rumors of a master monk who might come over in the near future, a Brother Aidan from Iona. Because of this, the other monks talk about the book he was working on. The Book of Iona.
The Book of Iona outshines all others because of the miracle of Colm Kille's third eye.
No, not because of his third eye. Because of his 3 hands with 12 fingers on each.
That's not true. He had a third eye, not a third hand.
I also find it funny that while they all have differing views on what Aidan can do, they all agree that his book is so holy it can blind sinners. Then again, the island of Iona is probably conquered at this point. Brendan goes through all this in his imagination, and so is late in bringing his uncle some stuff, and geez, that's a lot of drawings. It looks impressive for the shots they get out of it, but anyway, Uncle is disappointed that he's late.
It was so real, Uncle.
It is real, Brendan. That is exactly why we must prepare ourselves.
Must happen a lot with him, but he's a kid, so this should be expected. Kille spots a visitor entering the village, As we see who it is, we can determine that it's the old man and his cat from the start of the movie. But not just any old man.
Welcome to Kells, one of the great illuminators of our times. Must be a stonemason.
Brother Aidan of Iona.
And he's voiced by the late Mick Lally. This is his last film role before his death in 2010. Given the earlier scenes, Brendan is interested in the book he was writing, while Salic wants him to help with chores and other stuff. Otherwise, the boy is just asked to watch his cat, Pangerbon, a reference to an old Irish poem about a white cat. While chasing the cat, Brendan overhears their conversation about the book, and how the wall is meant to save it and everyone here.
You mean your wall? Not my wall, Aidan. A wall to save civilization. A wall to save your book. Pagans, Colm worshippers. It is with the strength of our walls that they will come to trust the strength of our faith.
Maybe, but walls tend to have the problem of isolating the people inside. Plus, any good wall will eventually break. Moving on, Brendan sneaks into the scriptorium and finds the book guarded by Panger. He wants to see just one page of the book, since he knows little of the outside world, and the cat lets him. Aidan then comes and spots Brendan, but he doesn't seem to mind. After all, that book is going to be shown to other people at some point. Hell, Aidan even asks Brendan if he wants to help him finish the book. Our main character jumps at that chance. The first task is to collect gall nuts for their wonderful emerald green ink color, so Brendan has to sneak outside to collect them without getting caught. We also learn a little more about Aidan, and how he lost a few of his friends over the course of his life. Of course, Brendan has to contemplate over wanting to go outside for the book, considering the possible pros and cons of it.
What if I get lost? In the dark? No! I should never go out there.
But if he just thinks about the book, he won't be afraid of the outside world. Once Brendan does sneak outside, he finds nothing but beautiful forests and flowers. Since this movie began production back in 1999, oh yeah, I forgot to mention the long development period of this movie. One of the primary influences of the film was Richard Williams' Thief and the Cobbler. It had abstract visuals as backgrounds, and The Secret of Kells also has plenty of those to bring the story and theme to life. As Brennan and Panger explore, they're being watched by that one child and a pack of wolves, who then chase the two, possibly to eat them. But after a bit, the pack leader sends them away.
Arnar, it's Arnav.
Is this your pet?
Ooh.
This is Aisling, a forest fairy by the Tuatha Dé legend. She asks why Brendan is here while displaying her unnatural abilities. He tells her about looking for the gall nuts to make ink, and she reluctantly agrees to help. The catch is that he's not allowed to explore the forest after this.
Come on then. I'll ask the forest where they are.
After going through this wonderfully drawn forest, they find the tree and nuts they're looking for. Brendan climbs up that tree, leading to more visual flair, and here he learns about the animals of the forest. He gets the nuts he needs and is quickly shown the way home, but he gets distracted by some part of the forest that scares Aisling.
It is the cave of the Dark One.
Crom Cruach. But Crom Cruach's only a story for children. The Abbot of Kells says that you shouldn't be afraid of imaginary things.
Considering your recent exposure to a supernatural being that could have been imaginary all this time, maybe you should take her advice and leave before you awaken some eldritch god or something. But no, he bravely goes further, leading to an encounter with Crom Cruach, the Dark One.
Aisling! Are you hurt?
And this is why you listen to your friends when they say something is bad. Well, despite that encounter, she changed her mind and lets Brendan return to the forest if he wants to. But as he finally makes it back to the scriptorium, his uncle catches him and forbids him from sneaking outside in the future. What timing, because somewhere at a port, this poor sap is about to learn about sharp, pointy objects. Message for you, sir. Anyway, with the berries, Aidan can work on his book again, after a creative bit where he creates the ink. He offers Brendan to test the ink while drawing what he experienced on the outside. Elsewhere, the Vikings raise another village, with frightening imagery to match, which leads to more refugees heading to Kells. As for the book, well, Aidan admits that he's gotten too old to where he can complete it, so he's asking Brendan to finish what he started. Not that he's eager to right now, because he's still abiding by his uncle's wishes. As Aidan speculated, something is preventing Brendan from reaching his potential. It could be fear, manifested by his encounter with Colm, but we'll find out soon enough. I should also mention that Kille is the sort of leader who's willing to work with everyone else without demanding things to go his way. So even as he stops Brendan from going out into the woods, he's not dislikable or anything. At least, not totally. Also cool is that Aisling leaves berries for Brendan to collect. That allows him to work on the book, and he returns the favor by sneaking out to show her the wonderful drawings he's made. Before long, Aidan tells Brendan about the Eye of Kille, which was lost during the start of the movie. It's a special crystal that helps enhance sight, and it will help him finish the book. And without it, the other solution would be to use...
Before the crystal became known as the Eye of Kille, it had an ancient name, named for the creature that Kille won the crystal from, deep inside one of its dwelling places.
Uncle catches Brendan before he can sneak off again. This time he can't even enter the scriptorium. As Kille locks his nephew in a room, he blames Aidan for the main character's personality. So the old monk will be ordered to leave the abbey next spring. Hunger overhears this and goes to get help from Aisling and her wolf pack. Through an elaborate sequence where Brendan shows them how to get the key, Aisling uses magic to turn Pongar into a spirit so he can get the key, and then finally free him. They all go to Cromcruach's cave. He knows that doing this is dangerous, but he really needs to finish that book. Aisling agrees to help, and after holding up the statue from last time, he's able to get in. But he has to be quick about it.
Go around!
Well, that's not creepy or anything. Brendan gets force-pulled through the dark and creepy cave. It's full of eerie drawings, and he falls through a crevice and finds a serpent. Oh, I see where this is going. The creature tries eating him first, but Brendan is able to defend himself. Here he uses chalk. This is how he can contain Cromcruach in a circle and get the eye he needs. But then... Now that was an amazing scene. Very well done. With the eye in his hands, Brendan makes his way out with the help of these white flowers we sometimes see. Guess Aisling is okay, even if she's not here. Anyway, he and Aidan can resume work on the book, and all is well again. Even the other monks try to cover for Brendan sneaking out, because they also want to watch them work that wonderful ink craft. All this time, Kille is still convinced that his nephew is locked in his room. But then a messenger comes with some really bad news. The Vikings are coming, and as Brendan finishes an image with the help of the crystal, Kille catches him and takes the page for himself. After locking him and Aidan in the scriptorium, he goes back to the tower and actually takes some alone time to look at his nephew's work. As the snow falls, everyone goes into hiding and prays that the wall will hold back the invaders. They can just fly over the walls? Damn you, birds! Oh, and let's not forget fire arrows. One of them even hits Kille. This is another problem with having a wall enclose your entire village. Once the attackers hold the sole entrance, everyone inside cannot escape. The whole space is now a fully fledged kill zone. And to make matters worse, as people try to go inside the tower, that's probably the only real defense they have.
The steps aren't strong enough.
It's not often you get to see mass death and destruction like this in animated form, but the medium really drives home the point that this is a very terrifying situation. Kille tries to go back to the scriptorium, but gets stabbed, seemingly left for dead. The Vikings end up entering the place, so Aidan and Brendan have to fight their way out by throwing ink powder at them. But they're forced to leave Kille behind because, well, he might be dead after this. All the while, many villagers pray and await their fate. Elsewhere, our heroes make their escape as the Vikings eventually catch them. They almost take the eye in the book, but the wolf pack shows up to rescue them. It's where Brendan realizes that Aisling can take on a wolf form and that she's the leader of the pack. Back in Kells, the survivors from the tower are able to come down and find Kille. He's severely injured, but alive. Despite everything that happened, he still keeps his position as abbot. Meanwhile, Brendan, Aidan, and Pangur go on a journey to finish the book. They also show their work to curious onlookers along the way, because from Brendan's perspective, it's a way to inspire hope in dark times. This long winding journey leads them back to Aisling's forest, where she reveals herself before taking them back to Kells. There, a dying Kille expresses regret over how he treated Brendan. The uncle gives back the page he took all those years ago, and in return, he gets to immerse himself in the finished Book of Kells. Now that I've seen this movie, I can confirm that all the praise around it is true. This is a visual masterpiece that really should deserve more attention than it did. From personal experience, it has one of the more positive portrayals of Christianity. These are devout characters who truly mean well for others, while some face their downfall due to taking their faith too far. But even then, it's less an issue of manipulating people through their religion. It's their ignorance and fear of the outside world that really did them in. It's also why Brendan is a nice counterpoint to most of the adults around him. He looks out to the world and understands its dangers, but he can also see its beauty due to an open mind. Really, what made Secret of Kells a delight is how it followed the old adage of showing and not telling. Just the very way that things are drawn or animated is enough to communicate the story and characters to the audience. The art style is pleasing to the eye, and something that spills out of a storybook. It all serves to tell a story about not only the goods and ills of the world, but of people willing to see the good in everything and changing life for the better. It's a shame that The Secret of Kells didn't even break even despite the rave reviews it garnered, but I'm glad it saw a stateside release, and I wish future Cartoon Saloon works could make that same trip. They're proof of animation done right as an amazingly fulfilling medium for all ages. Stay tuned, because we do have a Christmas episode. It's a bonus objective though, and if you thought Lamb was dark, well, prepare for something even darker. I'll see you then.